friends, I am Kanchan from Akulmach Technologies and you are welcome to our show. And today we are discussing about the great Rani Lakshmi Bai. Today we are celebrating 192nd birth anniversary of Rani Lakshmi Bai. And to talk about this great lady, we have Sitesh Srivastava, who has a deep interest in corporate training and he's been associated with radio broadcasting. So welcome to the show, Sitesh. How are you doing today?
I'm well, Kanchan, and I'm really honored to talk about the great personality that we will take up as a conversation. And thanks to you. And how have you been?
Yeah, I'm fine as usual. And today we are discussing about Rani Lakshmi Bai, the great Rani Lakshmi Bai. And I was just thinking that in a way, every lady who is a leader when it comes to a household responsibility. But there are few ladies who go beyond and becomes a leader of army or leader in society. As we are talking about today about Rani Lakshmi Bai, so I think Rani Lakshmi Bai was having a very unusual upbringing because she was a Brahmin girl and growing up with the boys in the Peshwa's court. She was trained in martial art and became very good in sword fighting and riding. So I think that gives her an edge as compared to other, especially ladies of that time.
Correct, Kanchan. Rebellion of 1857, which is also called the Sepoy Mutiny, was the most important aspect of Indian liberation fight in an organized way with the British. And if you see the impact of 1857, where Rani Lakshmi Bai played such an important role, was seen within 90 years, 1857 and 1947. Within 90 years, we saw the impact and the outcome of it. But I must tell you, the first impression of Rani Lakshmi Bai for me was from that famous Hindi poem of poet Subhadra Kumari Chauhan. For I would like to repeat some lines from that. सिंहासन हिल उठे राजवंशों ने भ्रिकुटी तानी थी, बूढ़े भारत में आई फिर से नई जवानी थी, चमक उठी सन 57 में वह तलवार पुरानी थी, बुंदेले हर बोलों के मुंह हमने सुनी कहानी थी, खूब लड़ी मर्दानी वो तो झांसी वाली रानी थी. And this poem, when I remember reading it first time, I then realized two things. One is about the personality called Rani Lakshmi Bai, and second, it turned me towards the Veer Ras poetry and how to write it, how to say it, and how it was. So I think the times of Rani Lakshmi Bai is very important in multiple senses. More and more, she is relevant in today's India. And we are seeing a lot of, there was a movie recently on that, Manikarnika on that. There have been so many institutions named after Rani Lakshmi Bai in our country. And therefore, it is good to celebrate. It is good to celebrate. It is good to talk about it to our children, to our youth, and not just remain as a government celebration. What do you say?
Yes, you're very right. And as you know, she has played a very important role in freedom struggle because she became an icon of freedom struggle against British for Indians and for so many years. So I think that is something which we should appreciate, we should celebrate. And though she was defeated in the Battle of Betwa, but she didn't surrender. And Lakshmi Bai managed to run from the fort and, while struggling, while fighting, she was dressed up in a men's costume. So that gives, I think she was more independent and I think she was more brave as compared to other contemporary fighter. And that's why we recall her, we celebrate her, and we always, one way or another, say about her Jhansi ki Rani Lakshmi Bai?
True, Kanchan. There are a couple of important aspects, or you can say some essential points in her life, and that is something, growing up in the India of 1850s, getting married into a Peshwa family, then again, losing her own child, and then adopting another child, and called Damodar, and then standing in front of the British. And if I am correct, Kanchan, that time our the viceroy was Lord Dalhousie, and there was this doctrine of lapse, where any king uh, who does not have a direct lineage, or a child, cannot pass on his kingdom to the next generation, and then therefore it would be annexed by the East India Company. And that was the doctrine of lapse, which was being forced upon by Lord Dalhousie, on various kingdoms of those days, and it also fell upon the Jhansi, small kingdom, and that's where Rani Lakshmi Bai took a stand, which was by far in those days unheard, and nobody would have thought. And even sitting today, thinking of this kind of an action 160 years back, or probably 170 years back, if I'm correct, it is unbelievable that she took that, and she laid her life. In the end, she was fighting with the two swords in the hand, and her horse fell, and she passed away somewhere in the Bitur, which is near Kanpur, near Uttar Pradesh. And important point is, interesting point is that I was speaking to my son about the importance of Rani Lakshmi Bai today, and I spoke to him and I asked whether she is a motivation for the women of India. To my surprise, Kanchan, he said, why only women? Rani Lakshmi Bai was a motivation for her people. She was a motivation for India. Don't just make it narrow to the woman's motivation.
Right.
What a wonderful thought, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very wonderful, and I think every person, I mean, Indian, should think about this, because she is an inspiration for many. Now, Rani Lakshmi Bai is one of the leading warrior of Indian first struggle of independence, a symbol of bravery, patriotism, honor. So we have to celebrate, and it is not a small thing. It's quite a big thing. So lot salute to this lady of our history, and she lives in our heart, and she will.
Yes, Kanchan. Interestingly, Kanchan, the birthday of Rani Lakshmi Bai, 19th November, is also shared by another Iron Lady from India, our former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. And we can see the parallels in their personalities. And that is something very interesting to see. I lived in Delhi, in a place called Lakshmi Bai Nagar, which is in South Delhi, close to INA colony. There is an army regiment, if I'm correct, in Indian Army on Rani Lakshmi Bai. Similarly, in Subhash Chandra Bose, Indian National Army INA, there was a Rani Lakshmi Bai regiment in those days. So she has always been an inspiration for women of this country to come out of their homes and take charge of the administration, take charge of the land that they belong to, take charge of their people. And that is something, the essence and the spirit that Rani Lakshmi Bai carried, and she continues to inspire millions of youth, not just women, but also men, I believe.
Yeah, one point I just want to include in this is that she also taught that you have to believe in yourself, and if you are right, then you just go forward and achieve your goals. So with this thought, it was lovely talking to you, Sitesh, and see you tomorrow with the next interesting stuff. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Kanchan. I would like, just by the ending points, is that it is interesting to also note that today is also International Men's Day.
Yes, and I know that to be man is difficult, but anyhow, I think we'll end up this discussion with Lakshmi Bai, and again, lot of good wishes and tribute to her. Bye bye.
Bye bye.